Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast, Duty Above All, where we dive deep into the complicated world of doing what's right even when it feels wrong. I'm Ahnaf Samin and today we're tackling a tough moral question. When does doing your duty become dangerous? When does standing up for justice put others at risk? Joining me are five fantastic guests, our panel of ethical explorers. Say hi everyone. Before we dive into the discussion, let me give you a quick overview of what we are going to explore today. This episode isn't just about philosophy or protest. It's about the clash between moral ideals and the real world consequences. We'll be unpacking a real case that tested ethical boundaries in Bangladesh, where doctors took a bold stand after an act of violence shook their workplace. Now imagine you're a doctor. You have spent years training to save lives, working in chaotic, often under-resourced conditions. Then one day, you or your colleague is assaulted, physically threatened just for doing your job. What do? Do you keep working silently because lives depend on you? Or do you take a stand knowing that some patients might suffer delays because of your decision? That's the heart of our discussion. We are going to break this down using Immanuel Kant's ethical framework, also known as Deontological Ethics. If that sounds heavy, don't worry. We are going to make it simple, relatable, and even a little fun. You'll hear about Harry Potter spells, ethical timelines, and moral tightropes. We'll start by understanding Kant's core principles, what it means to act out of duty, how intention matters more than outcome, and why universal laws and human dignity are at the center of his philosophy. Then we'll apply those ideas to the real-life strike by the doctors at Dhaka Medical College Hospital. Each guest will bring their perspective. Some will defend the strike as a moral stand for justice, while others will challenge whether it compromises patient care. You will see a back and forth that makes you think critically. When is it okay to bend the rules in order to protect them? So whether you are a philosophy lover, a healthcare worker, or just someone trying to figure out what doing the right thing even means in a messy world, stick around because this episode is about more than theory. It's about the lives behind the ethics. Mahiyat, let's start easy. What is Kantian or deontological ethics?
Deontological ethics is all about duty. According to Kant, what matters is why you do something, not what happens afterwards. If you help someone just to look good, sorry, Kant says it's morally not.
So intention matters more than results.
Exactly. Do what's right because it's right.
Mridul, let's summon the Harry Potter spell of the day, the categorical imperative.
Categorical imperative sounds dramatic, but it's simple. It's a universal moral law that dictates action based on duty and reason. For example, don't lie, not even a little. If you lie to help someone today, you'll justify lying forever. Kant didn't like double standards.
So one rule for all.
Exactly. If the rule can't apply to everyone, it shouldn't apply to anyone.
Tousif, what's this universal law thing really about?
It's Kant's version of the golden rule. Before asking, what if everyone did this? If your action would make the world worse, if universalized, don't do it.
So no skipping class unless we want education to collapse.
I see that you got it.
Sakif, tell us about Kant's idea that people are ends, not means.
Kant believed you should never use people as tools. If you make someone do something just for your gain, even something small, you're using them. Ethics is about respect, even in protest or politics.
Sami, Kant really hated lying, even the good kind.
That's right. Even if lying saves someone, Kant says no, because lying endures trust and breaks the moral law. Truth is sacred.
Brutal honesty over kindness.
Every time. Kant would be a terrible party guest, but an honest one.
Now, let's go into a short break. Welcome back, everyone. Time to ground this in real life. In 2024, doctors at Dhaka Medical College Hospital went on strike after their colleagues were attacked. They demanded arrest and public trials of the attackers, providing only emergency services until their safety was ensured. It sparked a national debate. Was it ethical? That's what we are here to unpack.
The doctors acted from a deep sense of duty. They weren't seeking fame, money, or even revenge. They wanted safety and justice for themselves and others. I think this aligns perfectly with Kant's oral philosophy. Their intention was rooted in moral law.
I understand that, but patients were affected too. If non-emergency care was delayed, then weren't they being used as leverage? A means to an end? Kant would absolutely oppose that. His ethics demand we never exploit others, even for a noble cause.
That's valid, but Kant also says that we have a duty against injustice. This wasn't a selfish strike, it was a call for justice. Justice is a form of duty. They continued emergency services. That shows moral responsibility, not recklessness.
It was also about setting a precedent. If doctors silently accepted violence, it would imply that healthcare workers must endure harm that devalues their dignity. Kant insists on respecting human worth, even your own, so their protest upholds dignity, not violated it.
See both sides, but Kant would say duty is non-negotiable. Even if you are attacked, your job is your job. That sounds harsh, but he believed that breaking moral laws leads to chaos. If saving lives is your duty, nothing should be override that, not even fear or anger.
But isn't it also our moral philosophy to protect ourselves? A doctor who is afraid for their life can serve well. The strike was not abandoning the patients, it was creating conditions where moral duty could be fulfilled.
Let's also remember this wasn't indefinite. It was conditional. They didn't say we quit. They said we need protection. That's a morally sound demand, not a betrayal of ethics.
But Kant doesn't allow compromise. Where does it stop? If every duty becomes conditional, what happens to morality?
That's the tension. Maybe the key is that they didn't lie, didn't hide. They were honest and transparent. That's Kantian, even if the context is complex.
I say, if everyone in essential services went on strike for justice, society would collapse. Kant says an action must be safe to universalize. Isn't this?
But if everyone passively accepts abuse, injustice becomes the norm. That's not actually universalizable. There has to be room for ethical protest in a moral system.
Think about the long-term impact. Their strike may have inconvenienced some, but it set a moral boundary. You can't abuse those who save lives. That's a powerful message.
Still, Kant teaches us that duty is constant. Would he have approved the walking away from the sick even for one day?
Kant could have been uncomfortable with the method, but not with the motive. Protecting human dignity is a moral imperative.
Here's a thought. Maybe Kant isn't a checklist. Maybe he gives us tools to reason through hard cases, but not all duties are equal. Sometimes they conflict and we need judgment.
But if we allow flexibility, do we still have moral law or just situational?
Kant would say no to compromise, yes, but we are not robots. Life is messy. Sometimes resisting injustice is the highest form of duty.
So maybe Kant wasn't wrong, but maybe he needs an update for modern and moral dilemmas.
And that's why ethic is both timeless and evolving. Amazing insights, everyone. Now, let's go into a short break. Now, time for a special segment with two of our guests. Now that we have had a better understanding of the topic, let's apply it to some simpler situations, which are not as complicated as the DMCH strike. First scenario, returning a lost wallet. Imagine a person finds a wallet full of cash on the street. They return it to the owner without taking any money, even though they are struggling financially.
Why is it deontological, you may ask? The person acts out of a sense of duty to do what is morally right, returning what does not belong to them. They follow a moral rule, that is, do not steal or always return lost property, regardless of the consequences. This aligns with Kantian deontology, which emphasizes acting according to moral duties and principles, not outcomes.
Second scenario, telling the truth in court. A witness testifies trustfully in court, even though it will result in their friend being convicted.
1.
The witness follows the moral obligation to tell the truth, despite personal consequences. This follows the deontological principle that honesty is a duty and lying is inherently wrong, regardless of whether lying would produce a better outcome for the friend.
Third scenario, a doctor refusing to lie about a diagnosis. A doctor refuses to lie to a patient about a terminal illness, even though the family requests it to protect the patient's emotions.
The doctor adheres to professional and moral duties like informed consent and honesty. Even if lying would spare the patient's temporary distress, the doctor sees truth-telling as a categorical duty that cannot be overridden by outcomes, aligning with the duty-based deontological view.
So what did we learn? Doing the right thing isn't always black and white. Kant gave us rules, but life gives us messy situations. In the DMCH case, the doctors didn't act out of anger. They acted out of duty to justice, to each other, and maybe even to Kant himself. We leave you with his words. Always recognize that human individuals are ends, and do not use them as means to our end. Immanuel Kant. Thank you for joining us on Duty Above All. Until next time, stay thoughtful.